Hello everyone, welcome to the Power Academy. In this topic, we would like to tell you about how the China and its authorities are trying to create the monopoly for their businesses in their own geographical boundary. China is doing these kind of things very often. This is only the one example we will going to talk about. Because China is an habitual liar and the violator against its own business policy and the WTO's guidelines. China loves to export its inferior good to the other nations in the name of freedom of business. But when it comes to the other companies of the other nations to do the business in China, then the Chinese autocratic rule violated the policy of the WTO in the name of monopoly of doing the business within the geographical boundary of China. And the China always play the victim card in doing so. Because the China do not want the other nations' superior companies to sell the goods in its own soil freely. If it allows the international goods to flood its own market, then its own inferior goods take backseat in its own country. That is the problem China is facing. Because the Chinese goods are inferior in nature. They do not have any kind of good quality to be a valuable market viable product. So that is why if they will going to allow the European companies to sell the goods, then the Chinese companies will have to take the back seat. As the China is opposing the EU companies to do business freely in China and not allowing the EU's telecom companies to claim their intellectual property rights. That is why the European Union launched a legal challenge against China at the World Trade Organization. And the China is also facing this kind of problem in case of Lithuania. They are not allowing the Lithuania to send the goods to the China, but they are bound by the rules of the WTO. And then also the European Union faced the WTO to ask for the rule-based things in favor of the Lithuania to do the business with the China. China is doing so because the Lithuania allowed the Taiwan to open a de facto embassy in its capital Vilnius. That is why they are not allowing the EU companies and also the other nations are also suffering because of the Lithuanian goods are not allowing within the China. They are the violator of their own rule. What can I say? What it says, the European Union says that the Chinese failure to allow the European companies to protect their patents or the intellectual property rights for the telecom technology. The Chinese are opposing the European companies to get their patent right within the China. And the European Union just want the China to allow the European companies to protect their patents for the telecom technology. China severely restricts the EU companies with the rights to the key technologies such as 3G, 4G and the 5G from protecting these rights when their patents are actually used by the Chinese companies illegally without appropriate compensation. The European Commission, which filed the challenge on the behalf of the EU's 27 members, were being prevented by the Chinese law from going to a foreign court to protect their standard essential patents. The EU companies manufacture high-tech products. They are manufacturing the high-tech product for the phones to the electric cars. It requires a huge amounts of patented technology. That is why the European companies need the patent to the manufacturer and sell the goods in China. But why the Chinese are not allowing? If any European patent holder go to the courts outside the China, they often face the large fines such as 1,30,000 euros, which is equivalent to the $1,47,000 a day for a one case only. This much of money a European company have to pay to the Chinese as a fine. And the practice undermines their ability to agree license fees at the market rates with the Chinese mobile phone makers. The Chinese are allowing its own manufacturer to do the business freely with patent, but that they are not allowing the European companies to do the business in China with patent. The European Commission said that the Chinese courts had since August 2020 been issuing the anti-suit junction which prevented the EU companies seeking recourse in the foreign courts with the threat of heavy fines as a deterrent. The European Union had raised this issue on a number of occasions with the Chinese authorities but not resolved by the Chinese authorities or courts. The European companies were simply putting their words into the ears of the deaf. The EU believes that China is violating the WTO's agreement on the trade related aspect of the intellectual property rights. Yes, they are violating, they are not allowing the European companies to do the business with patents. That is a violation. Then why they are not allowing? Because when they will going to allow, then a particular manufacturer will have the right to manufacturing the goods for those companies. If the patent is not there, then anyone can make it. And that China is very good at. WTO challenges. EU believes that China has violated the WTO's agreement, as I said. And the WTO challenge start a formal 60-day period of consultation between the parties. Parties means EU and the China. If they do not lead to a satisfactory solution within 60 days, then EU can request WTO to set up a panel to rule on the matter. Regarding the patent. The patent concerned by this case are standard essential patents. The steps are patents that are essential in order to manufacture goods that meet a certain international standard. Because the European goods are very, very good quality in nature, but the Chinese goods are not. They are internationally in standard. The European goods are internationally standard. Because the use of this technology is patented by these patents, the protected by these patents is mandatory for the productions of the mobile phones, other electronics manufacturing. It is mandatory for the manufacturers to have the patent to produce, to manufacturing the goods within the China and within the other nation. Suppose an European company wants to do the business in India, then Indian government have to give them the right of having the patent. Then the other Indian companies won't be able to copy, won't be able to reverse engineer those goods. That is why those goods, their patents are required. The patents owner have committed to licensing these patents to manufacturers under the fair, reasonable and non-discriminatory terms. So a mobile manufacturer should therefore obtain a license for these patents. If the manufacturer does not obtain the license or refuse pay, a patent holder can enforce these patents and get a court to stop the sales of the products incorporating that unlicensed technology. That is the matter. If the European companies will have its own patent, then it will have the right to file the case against the other manufacturers, those who are copying their goods. That is what the China do not want. Because China is a violator of all international rules. They made their banana rules to protect their own interest because they are autocratic. They make their thing covert within their geographical boundary to suit their own interest. The Chinese companies are wanting the free access to use the cutting edge European technology because the Chinese goods are inferior. They copy paste everything. And they are good at reverse engineering. So the China need to be punished by the world independent bodies to set an example for all autocratic nations. And that will send the signals to all. If you think that you are the boss, then you are not. Because you are the bosses also have a bosses. And that is the world independent bodies, and they have to show the China that we are the boss, not you, not your rule, because it is a globalized world. Everybody has the right to do the business because you permit those companies to do the business within your geographical boundary. That is why. Now the first question is, where the headquarters of the European Union? The first option is Brussels, second is Paris, third is Budapest, fourth is Prague. The second question is, the term the inner six is related to which of the following? First option is the G24 organization, second is ASEAN, third is SAARC, fourth is European Community Market. If anyone have any question or anyone have any doubt about the published topic, then he or she can mail me to my email address. My email address is meanwhile has been given, and that is tuhin.power.academy@gmail.com. If any problems occur in understanding this topic, please mail me. Or if anyone interested to answer this question, then he or she can answer this question in the comment sections. But in details, if anyone wants to give me the answer, then you can fetch my email address. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.